Hello, and welcome to my channel. It's the Network Specialist. Please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so that you know each and every time I upload a video. Everything I will say in this video is in my opinion and is for entertainment purposes only. Now let's get into this interview.
All right, Chris Fletcher, how you doing today, bro?
Man, I'm good, Dust. I see we're trying to get this computer thing together. You know what I mean?
Listen, we got it together because one thing we're gonna do, and one thing that I know the Fletcher family is gonna do is handle our business. We're gonna do that.
We're gonna do all that.
That's right. Now, Chris, just as far as a little background information, how long have you and Nell been married again?
In a couple of weeks, July the 27th, it'll be 30 years.
30 years. So that's
married.
First of all, happy anniversary coming up. That's an incredible accomplishment, and what a steadfast family dynamic to show and share with the world, right? So thank
Hey,
you for
kicking it
sharing
with
that with us.
Courtney.
What made you decide that it was time to kind of move your family to the front of the display when it comes to Love and Marriage Huntsville? Because we've seen you all on the show before, but this
Is the
season
volume good?
we see you
Kicking
and
it
your
with
beautiful
Courtney.
wife in the main cast, opening credits, and we've gotten to know your dynamic family. What made you guys think that it was time now to share that with the audience?
Um, that's a great question. Um, I guess
Make this a summer to share and save during the Kia Summer Sticker Sales Event in one of our capable SUVs.
coming on, like I said, I've been on the show for
Hey, love, seen her. Thanks for being here.
in and out as a friend, as a real estate broker, of course, and it was very intriguing for me, just to be in front of that camera. And then, some things happened. I really wanted the wife to come when I did, to kind of tag in, whether she's sitting in the background or whatever. But, of course, she was going through some things, dealing with her mom and things like that. And, just was not up to par. She's just,
And from what we've all heard, Chris has always wanted to be on, you know, reality TV. And so he came in first. And, later on, he convinced his wife, Nell, to come aboard as well. So now the entire family is on Love and Marriage Huntsville. And here we go.
just wasn't ready. And once she did, about a year or so ago, and decided to come on, everything just seemed like magic. You know what I mean? It was just like fit. And I will tell you, I don't know if she said this to you or not, but there's been times other friends, other family, or just friends of the kids at the time, in Atlanta, other places, the dynamic of our family when people are around is like, man, y'all need y'all show. Y'all are funny as hell. Y'all just do things so charismatically that it just relates, and and a lot of people do. And so if you want the authenticity of us and the family, you definitely will get it. You know what I mean? And it's like we can only do so much as the mother and the father.
Now, put it down in the chat to let me know if you would like to see the Fletchers have their own show. If you would watch if they had their own reality TV show, the Fletchers. Let me know in the comments.
Family, our children are not children.
Yeah.
And I don't think any other show that I can think of, reality show, all their children are small. They don't possess that dynamic of having grown children. I mean, our oldest 33, our youngest is 27.
Yeah.
Grandchildren. And they have their own lives. So, what better way to.
So Courtney says, Nail holler too much, laugh out loud. Well, there's a lot of moms like Nail. Um, I would say that And I will also say this, if you have sons, especially speaking for myself because I'm so petite and I have three grown sons, all in their 30s. So when you have sons, like I do, three sons in their 30s, like when you're raising boys, you have to kind of be a little harsh because you have to put that fear in them, especially when you're petite like me and they quickly grow to be way taller than you because my two of my sons are 6 feet and over. So you definitely want to put that fear in them so that way they know they can't play with you. They can't play in your face. So sometimes you have to be a little harsh with boys just to let them know. Yes, I am a woman, but you know what I'm saying? I run this show and you're not about to play in my face, okay?
Continue that, showing them the future family, showing grown ass children because
Yeah,
they have their own thing as well.
I think you make a great point about the originality, kind of what you guys are presenting to the landscape of reality TV. We've seen the model of a blended family before, but most often, if not always, the children are much, much younger. And so I
Exactly,
think it's
kicking it with
refreshing
Courtney.
to
All
see
it
that
takes is a
look
look.
of a blended family. You have adult children who obviously are locked in siblings. We saw in this week's episode Nell, your beautiful wife, she was talking to your oldest daughter, and she told her, I may not be your bio mom, but I love you just like you were my own. What is the state of the relationship amongst the four children today? Is everybody on the same page right now and kind of getting along, Chris? Or how are the kids doing?
I mean, if you're talking about Kayla
Mm-hmm.
Junior, Lane, you know what I mean? And of course Kiki, our niece daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
all of them are.
Skip past this commercial, guys.
I think
And let me say this. When I was watching the show on the watch party on the Silver's page, I have to say that I did enjoy the scene with the Fletcher family. I thought that it was necessary. And, sometimes it takes a therapist, somebody on the outside looking in to, give their opinion about the situation and kind of assess the situation to help everybody be able to communicate better. So I really did enjoy that scene. That was one of the scenes that I did enjoy. I didn't enjoy the rest of the show. It was pretty boring, but I will say that I did enjoy the scene with the Fletcher family.
they were all just together. I don't know if you're watching on Instagram, but I think they were together somewhere eating. Made a little slight comment on that. Had a little caption that was pretty funny, saying something about spending some more of mom and dad's money or something like that. So
And I did hear that Nell liked that post. So Nell, don't be out here looking like an enabler, like you're enabling your kids to spend all your money. But I think that the Fletcher kids did that because they are all hoping to get their own reality TV show. So not only are they out here, trying to get a reality TV show, they got the kids out here because I guess the whole family is trying to get a bag. And ain't nothing wrong with that, you know. Hey, I mean, I think they are good for TV. They are. And Courtney agreed that the Fletchers are good TV.
yeah, I mean they blend, man. They get along. There's no
Yeah.
no real fighting or anything like that.
Yeah, we love to see that. And I think it's of note, you know what I mean, to speak to the harmony that exists among them because they are fully grown adults with their own lives and still being able to find that camaraderie and that friendship as siblings, I think is exemplary. And it speaks to like the parenting job that has taken place on behalf of you and your wife, Nell. We saw this week, this was a big week for you all on the show, and we really got a deeper look into kind of the minutia of your family and the family dynamic amongst you and your wife Nell and your parenting styles. But pulling back to the initial the thought or idea of experiencing therapy.
And let me say this. Now, when they had the scene with the therapist, I don't know if you guys noticed, Nell said everything she wanted to say to the niece, kid, or whatever they want to call her. and the two older kids. But did y'all notice when she got to her youngest son? I guess that's Chris Jr., if I'm not mistaken. Did y'all notice how emotional Nell got? And out of all of the kids, she only hugged Chris Jr., I believe his name is, the youngest son. She gave him a hug. And for even me, that was kind of emotional. I shed a little tear, I'm not going to lie. I did shed a tear. And for, people who have more than, multiple kids. Is it true for you that the baby boy always have a special place in your heart? Like for some reason, I've heard it from other mothers, and they always say that the baby boy is very spoiled. Do you guys agree with that? Or has it been different in what you've seen from someone who has multiple kids or even yourself? Is it the baby son or child that gets the most attention and love? Let me know down in the comments.
Therapy, right? As a family and as individuals, we saw some apprehension from your wife Nell in her participation in therapy. She expressed very clearly that she did not think it was necessary for her behalf. What do you think that was rooted in, Chris? Was it rooted in? Because oftentimes, I'm from Michigan. Uh, I come from a family of several. I have several siblings. My mom and dad have been married since they've been married for 53 years.
Oh,
So it is. I come from that sort of foundational Black family. Um, I understand. My parents are in a. They're deeply in an organized religion, and it's contributed to kind of their apprehension to participate in that sort of work. What do you was it rooted somewhere in there? Like, are you and Neil a part of like a church organization, and do you think that may have contributed to her hesitance to kind of participate in the therapy, or what do you think that was coming from?
I'll let Chris answer, then
No,
I'll give
we
my
just
take on
go
that.
to a church here called the Rock.
Okay.
And but it's not a religious apprehension or what have you for her. I don't think. Um, I really think it just comes from her upbringing of just that toughness. And we both come from the project. You know what I mean? And she just has that toughness about her, that strong, and of course I don't know. She's only about 5 foot.
Just a little bit taller than me. Let's get past this commercial.
That thing about her that's now it's I'm mom, I'm the one, I stand beside my king, but y'all got to come through me. Get through me, necessarily without some tough love. And I think that's kind of what it is. When you grow up and you see or you witness other families or you see other things of, you know, I don't want to say.
I'm gonna tell you why Nell had some resistance. Because when your child says to you, Mom, you need to go see a therapist or whatever, you're taking it like they're trying to be offensive. Like, they're basically trying to, say something negative without saying something negative. So I'm pretty sure that's why she reacted that way and said that she didn't need a therapist, you know. And my son once told me once that I needed to see a therapist. And I'm like, you're right. Everybody needs to see a therapist. Back in the day, a lot of people were ashamed to, you know, need a therapist. But this day and time, we're all very educated. So we all know that going to see a therapist is not a bad thing. It's actually a great thing. And that's what you do when you really care about your mental health. And if you just want some feedback to what you're dealing with in your lifestyle, in your life at that time. So she probably reacted that way because she thought that they were saying that to just be offensive to her or whatever the case may be.
Nowadays, but you don't get the same respect
Hey, sound check
from
with the
the
net.
younger
Thank you for being here.
generation today that we got or we gave back when we were children, teenagers. No matter who walked in the room, it was her. yes, ma'am, what happened? You know, if you do something at school and you get a paddling or whatever, because they don't do that no more. But if you
No.
paddling, you might as well get ready because when you come home, you're gonna get your ass tore up again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you just knew not to do that anymore. And I think it's so much of of that and just the way this generation lives today. She's not having. You know what I mean? And she feels that no, I don't need no therapy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm standing up for my family and for what I think and feel that is right and know that is right. And these fucking kids are gonna do like I said,
Hello.
you know, what I mean. And I'm not backing down.
That
And I just
part.
feel like she has that toughness and it's like, I don't need therapy. I just need everybody to leave me the hell alone and make sure you do your thing as a young adult. And then I
Absolutely.
wouldn't have to be this way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um,
And guys, put in the chat whether you think that Nell came off, with her strong personality. We all know she does have a strong personality, but do you think that she was right or she's right when she yells at her kids? But ultimately ends up giving them whatever it is they ask for, but she's letting them know you're not going to get this until I let you know what it is, and then we can talk about whether I'm going to actually give you the funds that you're asking for.
I think that in this episode, when we saw you guys in a conversation with Dr. Francis, right, which I thought he did an amazing job moderating that discussion amongst you all and managing kind of the feelings and emotions of everybody that was present. And I was most impressed by the emotional intelligence that your children showed in that conversation. The way that even your son Lance was explaining himself to his mom and saying, hey, he was really being clear about where the breakdown occurred when he was expressing himself to his mom and she wasn't necessarily receiving it at face level and face value. Do you agree with what your son Lance said in that conversation when he said that most often when he is in communication with his mom, she's listening with the intention of offering a rebuttal as opposed to really hearing him out? Do you see that that is something that may be kind of blocking the communication between Nell and the children and maybe even Nell and you at times?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I somewhat do agree with what he's saying. And we've had that talk since then.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was there.
Mm-hmm.
The blockage was there. Uh,
Okay, so in Nell's defense, if your kids, continue to come and ask you for money after you've given and given and given so much, at what point do you just like put your foot down and just pretty much before they can even get it out because you already know it's going? At what point are you supposed to just like cut them off and let them know, look, if you're coming to me to ask for money, I know you probably have this speech all prepared, you know what I'm saying, so that you can butter me up to get whatever it is that you're asking for. But we've been down this road. So at some point, you know what I'm saying, you have to just kind of like cut them off and let them know the answer is no. Like, go home, revamp, think of whatever it is you need to do to come up with your own funds because you're grown. And at this point, I've done my job. So you're going to have to work this out on your own. I don't know if you need to get another job, a higher paying job, what it is that you need to do, but I am not your bank. So at some point, I can see where Nell would be frustrated and she would pretty much just react in a way that, no, I know where this is going. I'm not here for it. What do you guys think?
because again, she just wanted, hear what I'm saying, do what I said. You know what I mean? But we've talked about it since then, and I think we have some rectification in reference to it. And I think we're doing better now.
Yeah.
But at that time, yes, I do agree.
Yeah.
A lot of blockage.
I also noticed that like a recurring theme in when we spoke with Nell, when Nell was speaking rather during the episode about what she was experiencing frustration connected to in the family structure. Um, Several times she mentioned financial transactions that may have taken place that were
Now, this is the part that got
mentioned
me.
several times. This isn't the first time that we heard that from Nell either. So what are we talking about here? Because there's a conversation that's being had online where helping your kids is something that is almost obligatory from the parental perspective. And so what is it that is so
Now, y'all know
burdensome?
Justin
I
is
guess
kind of long winded. Get to it, Justin.
Chris, is it normal, you know, like parent child, I need $1,000 here, you know, $500 here, something like that? Or are we talking
Now,
about
listen to this, guys.
amounts of money that are really cause for concern here?
No, I mean, well, for me, you know, you go anywhere past $100 for me.
Hello.
You know, that's you know, we're doing the most. You know,
Okay.
but yeah, we're talking about, you know, $5,000 here,
Okay.
$5,000 there, $13,000 there,
Okay.
$2,600 here.
Did y'all hear that?
You find the right time to
Get
vote.
past this commercial. Give me 1 second. Get past this commercial, and we're back.
$7,500 there. You know what I'm saying? And that's not, you know, if I get into attorney fees and all that, you know,
Yeah.
Did y'all hear that? Their kids are asking for a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Do you know what they could be doing with that money if they weren't giving, that money to their kids? Like, that sounds like, a real estate investment. I mean, 13,000, 2,500. Oh my God. Those kids are spoiled. And I see why Nell is yelling. I mean, if my kid came to me and asked me for $13,000, have you lost your damn mind? Baby, I would be cussing too if I was Neil. But that's just me. I don't know. Some people got it, and it might not be, that big of a deal to them, but that kind of money, hell no. Hey, Mama Bees, thanks for being here. That's ludicrous. Like, there is no way. They're spoiled.
going up. So it can put it can put that burden on you, no matter, I don't say no matter how much money you have, but no matter how much money you have, when you're just putting it out for, as we feel, unnecessarily. I mean,
And kicking it where Courtney said, the question is, why do they feel obligated to give their kids that kind of money? Courtney, I think the kids are spoiled. And I think that Nell inherited a lot of money. So she had it and they was trying to get to it. Like, a lot of times, like, you can't let your kids know, you know what I'm saying, when you come into some money, because they're going to keep on until that money is gone. And I know maybe there was no way for her to hide the fact that she came into some money, because we all know from watching the show that I think her mom, initially owned the daycare, and she left the daycare to Nell, and, I guess some money to go with it. So I think the kids knew the money was there and they just wanted their cut of the pie. And that's just how I feel. And Nell is just a sweet person. And if she got it, she's going to give it. And I know a lot of moms like that. But at some point, you do get tired. And I think Nell is tired. I think she's giving and giving and giving. So at this point, she's tired of giving, because now, I mean, Nell is up in age. They are supposed to be saving for retirement. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to need that same money that they're just giving to their kids, and because their kids are spoiled, they know, okay, if I get in trouble or whatever the case may be, mom's going to bail us out. So, they're just living their life all willy nilly, because they know at the end of the day, mom is going to be there to save me. And that's where she effed up. She should have let them know, nah, you have to teach your kids young that I'm not your bank. You're going to have to earn whatever it is that you want and need. I am not your bank. So I think she started out spoiling her kids, and it doesn't stop when you come into some money. So she's probably always been spoiling her kids. And now that she has this money, those kids are trying to get to the bag. Okay, just making sure I don't have any comments to catch up on.
You're grown. We brought you all up in the church. You know you have cores, you have values, respect, all those things. Education. Why the hell are you doing this? You know what I mean? Why you getting arrested? Why you can't pay your rent? Why you can't pay for this? Why are you not able to do? You have it, or you've had it. You have the means to acquire it. You have the job.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys because I heard somebody say this earlier. If your kid was in trouble and maybe they came to you and said that they couldn't pay their rent, what would you do? Would you A, give them to money to help them pay their rent, or would you B, tell your kid to move back in with you, save up their money until they're in a position where they can actually make it out on their own and pay their own bills? Which one would you do as a parent? A, help them pay their rent, or B, ask them to move back in until they're able to sufficiently pay their bills on their own. Let me know in the chat. And Mama B said she never seemed to have taught them financial responsibilities. That's exactly what it sounds like, Mama B's.
It's adding up, and you feel like there is opportunity there for your children to kind of assume that responsibility of adulthood, and there are times where they are electing not to do so. Okay, well that would make sense. I think anybody um would feel a cause for concern if something was incessant in nature and continued to happen. And one thing that Nell expressed a little bit of concern with in the episode was she said there was a difference in perception, right, amongst the children when it came to the two of you all. I thought it was great how specifically you, Chris, maintained a uniformity amongst you and Nell, during that conversation, and you didn't really play into that. Why do you think that Nell feels that you are kind of the good cop and she's the bad cop when it comes to the children's perception of the two of you?
Probably goes back to what Lance stated.
Okay.
That episode. You listen to rebuttal. You listen to respond. You don't listen to hear what we're feeling. And I do. I listen because I'm searching for in my own thoughts of
A way to get out of paying.
why are you telling me this? Why is it this way? You know what I mean? As everyone says, there's three sides to a story: my side, your side, and the right side. So I try to put all three of those things in perspective before responding. And I'm not the yelling type. You know what I'm saying? I'm not.
Okay, let me ask you guys this after I read Courtney's message. Courtney said those kids are 30, no more of being spoiled. They aren't stealing, Nell, just like to fuss and don't nobody want to hear it. Close your purse, but that's just my opinion. I remember when my dad cut me off. Okay. And I think it's like this. I think Chris plays the nice guy because he knows that when he brings it to Nell, she's going to go off. Like, he doesn't have to go off because he knows she's going to do it. So basically, he plays like the nice guy. Oh, yeah, I can understand this. Well, let me run it by your mom and see what she thinks, because he knows without a doubt that when he lets Nell know, okay, such and such, is asking, for us to give him, let's say, $13,000. He knows that Nell is going to flip her lid. So why should he? He can play the nice guy. And a lot of dads do that. And I don't think that's a good thing to do. And maybe he says, well, let me run it by your mom and see what she thinks, just so that he can have that conversation. But I think he should be more proactive. And I think he should say something like, that's a lot of money. And I don't think your mom is going to agree to this, and I don't blame her, because that is a lot of money, but I will, let her know, the situation. and we'll talk about it and we'll get back to you or whatever the case. But letting Nell be the bad cop or bad guy, whatever they, said or whatever, I don't think it's right because I think that parents should always be on the same page. And if your kid comes and asks you for $13,000 and you know that your wife is not going to be cool with that, you should let them know that up front and don't make it seem like, the mom was the one that said, giving you $13,000 or whatever the case may be. So I think that he needs to be more of a man. And even before he brings that conversation with Nell, he should let the kids know, like, you're asking for too much. Like, didn't you just come and ask us for some money like last month or the previous month or whatever the case may be? I don't feel like Chris should continue to allow Nell be the bad person. He should let the kids know, no, it's not just Nell. I agree with what Nell says, like, we're tired of giving you guys money. And I think that he doesn't do that. And I think that's wrong. And let's see. In Soundcheck, Annette said, we had a conversation about fiscal responsibility and planning. Okay. That's a good thing to do. That is absolutely great because you have to set your kids up to be successful. And I will be the first to admit you can teach your kids everything, the right way to do things. But once kids are grown, they're absolutely going to do whatever it is that they want to do. And sometimes it's just out of your control. And she also said, sorry, we had the conversation at an early age. Okay. And that's exactly what you should do. Have that conversation at an early age. And just being honest, some kids get it and some kids don't. So, because a lot of times it's not just you who are raising the kids, sometimes it's their peers, sometimes it's social media. The culture, there could be a lot of factors that, determine, the things that your kids end up doing, even though you've taught them from a very young age that this is what they need to be doing. They have a lot of outside influences as well.
The fussy type, put it that way. I'm gonna say what I mean what I say, and that's just it. You go get it. You might not get it. Yeah. So, and they just take that as
Chris, does that, whether they're going to get it or not, is that determined by if you bought an expensive suit or expensive pair of shoes that week? Because Chris seems very, very flashy. And I feel like if there's something else he wants to do with his money, he's telling those kids no straight out the gate. Like, he ain't even entertaining it because Chris has this certain look that he wants to portray out there, especially since he has all of these, TikTok videos where he's dancing. So I feel like Nell is funding all of that, but we'll get into that conversation a little bit later.
Face value as well. It's like, well, no, dad said no, so, I ain't gonna get it. Yeah. Or dad, he heard me. We talked about it. We discussed it. He gave me his version of it. I see a different side. All right, I understand. I can go ahead.
What are your thoughts about the benefits of therapy for your family unit? Do you think that the conversation you had with Dr. Francis was beneficial for you all?
Yeah, I do. I think it's beneficial. I think it's always a beneficial situation when I can get everyone together. And
exactly, sound checking in.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Then to have a professional to stand by with their expertise, of the matter because they're listening for at that moment because they don't know us. You don't know us. Yeah. So to be able to listen in that short period of time and display some of the things that he did and that he noticed, I felt it was great, and I definitely felt it was beneficial. Yes.
That's great. I thought that was, again, something great to be.
Now, that, scene, with the therapist or whatever the case may be, I think that was all for TV. I don't think anything is going to change. I think they're just going to continue to do what they're doing, which is ask their parents for money. I don't think anything is going to change. That was just for TV. Everybody knows that, the kids, are spoiled and they help their kids out a lot. So I think that scene was just for TV because they are working hard trying to get a spinoff show. But that's just my opinion, allegedly.
Seeing a family with adult children, seeking the professional assistance to kind of managing the relationships amongst you all. Do you think that that solo therapy is something that would be good for you all, or do you think that the focus should just be on group sessions like what we saw this week?
No, I honestly think everyone needs a solo.
Yeah,
Everyone needs a solo session because everyone deals with everything differently, directly or indirectly. And I feel like if we could get everyone with a solo session and then always come back to a group session as well and kind of display what we have learned or grown within ourselves, matured or what have you from those sessions to bring back to the group, I think it'll make the family a much better dynamic.
I agree.
Guys, I have a suggestion for this family. I think that Nell and Chris should start a family business. That way, their kids will always have a job. They can invest in it, and maybe Chris can head it up just because, he's into real estate. And we all know that when you're in real estate, you have a very flexible schedule. And not only that, the money is not consistent. So it would benefit them to start some type of family business that Chris can head up. That way he can put those kids to work. Okay, you want money? I'm going to show you how you can earn money by starting a family business. That's just my suggestion. That way all of their kids will always have a job because they can put their ass to work, and then they can oversee and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. And if at any point they decide that they don't want to work or they don't want to keep the family business going, then hey, you can't ask me for no more money because look, you don't want to work. That's what it is. You just don't want to work. And that's where they can see if their kids are just having really bad times or if they just don't want to damn work. They'll be able to figure that out if they started a family business. And Sound Check Annette said, how was Chris and Nell trying to mentor or counsel Mel and Martel? Sound Check Annette, I'm still trying to figure that out because they can't mentor me on anything. They can't mentor me on business. They can't mentor me on relationships because their situation is a mess. Like we already know what they've been through in their marriage with the infidelities. And then, we've been all hearing through the grapevine that they got some liens on some of their properties. I'm like, how did this happen? Like they're always bragging like they have all of this money now. That's allegedly because I haven't found any proof of the fact, or I haven't seen anything, that proves that they do have some liens on their properties. But no, they're definitely not the mentoring type because they really don't have their stuff together. I mean, they have a nice house. I'm pretty sure they do well for themselves, but they really don't have their stuff together at the end of the day. And Dee Dee Star said Lance has a business already, and he does. But if Lance is asking for money, something isn't right, you know. Um, I mean, I really don't know what to say about that. Maybe they can, instead of giving them money, they can, pay for some business classes for him so that he can get it right. I mean, I don't know. A lot of people start businesses. He probably borrowed the money, and I believe I heard, Chris or Nell say to start that business. Just because you start a business does not mean it's going to be successful. And maybe he needs some tips on running his business. And Mama B said their kids don't want to work. They are spoiled and entitled, in my opinion. And I'm sort of leaning toward that, Mama B's. I just think they're spoiled. They know they can always lean on mom and dad. And that's just what they're doing. And a lot of kids do that, unfortunately.
I I think that we've seen kind of that sort of logic-based reasoning on your behalf expressed several times throughout our experiences getting to know you all on screen, especially this season. And as you know, I did have a conversation with your amazing wife, Nell, a couple weeks ago, just about this season. And during that conversation, we spoke briefly about um, kind of the communication or the engagement between her and your oldest daughter's mom, and how that may or may not have contributed to some sort of um, work that could be done there in that relationship, right? I was most interested though in your perspective on that, because I know that had to be something that was a lot to take on when you have to manage that, because it seems like you would be the anchor to kind of like make sure that there's a bridge there. Talk to us a little bit today, Chris, about that, how you've been able to manage that and kind of blend that family together for 30 years now when it comes
Oh,
to
I can't wait to speak on
daughter
this.
being integrated fully into your family that you have with Nell, and managing the communication between the moms.
Um, well, at this time, there's no communication.
Okay.
Since our scene, last year, with the whole family that at dinner scene that we had, there's been no communication.
Okay.
Since then. But if you're talking about previous, it's more, let's just be adults about it.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has remarried. I mean, she remarried, I remarried. I think she's probably been married for 20 some odd years.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the what's the reason?
Yeah.
My child support, whatever was needed was given.
Okay, let me just say this, Chris. It takes more than child support. You have to actively be a part of your child's life. And in my opinion, Chris is the reason why there's this disconnect, because it's up to Chris to establish the relationship with his daughter and his new wife, or old wife, whatever you want to call her. And if you allow people to think that they can mistreat your child just because it's not their biological child, that's what's going to happen. And at some point, because Lexi always said she never really spent any time alone with her dad. And I feel like whenever Lexi came over, he should have made sure that Lexi got one-on-one, attention outside of Nell and their other kids. Because Nell's kids get his attention all the time. Why can't I have you to myself, at least for maybe a day or two when I come to visit? Why does Nell always have to be there? Why can't I have one-on-one attention with my dad? They get it all the time. And, I'm aware that when the kids live in the same house with you, of course, they're going to get more attention. Yeah, you're going to spend more money on them. But from the way Lexi reacted, she's always felt like an outsider. She always felt like the stepchild whenever she came over to visit. And I feel like that was Chris's responsibility to make sure that his daughter felt welcome, you know, and, he should have always been checking on her. Are you good? Like, how do you feel? Is there anything that we need to talk about? And I don't feel like Chris did that. I feel like he allowed, maybe Nell was jealous, because a lot of times, not all the time, but sometimes women can be jealous of female daughters. Okay. So maybe she was jealous, maybe she still had some pent up animosity, for Lexi's mom. I'm not sure. But I feel like it was Chris's responsibility to make sure that Lexi was okay and she always felt welcome and she was getting that one-on-one attention from her dad that she so desperately needed. And that's my opinion on that matter.
You know, um, so there was no animosity there. There was none of that, and the things that were said after last year's dinner scene was
Absolutely.
just
Didi Star.
mind blowing. Mm-hmm. Some of these things was like, what, where and why?
Yeah.
I just, didn't have.
And even how Chris responded to Lexi when she was upset, and he was just like, okay, well, fuck it. Like, it was just like on national TV. Like, you really said that to your daughter when she was upset, she was crying, she was hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the best way you could have handled that situation. Chris could have said something like, Lexi, I see that you're very upset. I don't know how this went left. Can we like meet up later on to talk about this situation? I hate that it happened this way. I just want to make it right. Like he really could have been more sensitive. But what that scene told me is that Chris is very childish. Okay. He's very childish. Like he doesn't know how to handle these situations. And I'm pretty sure that, you know, Chris is just another child for Mel in all of his relationships as well. He's immature, like he doesn't know how to deal with these type of situations. You know what I'm saying? So that's why he didn't know how to respond to his daughter when she was in such a vulnerable state, to the point where her husband said, if you ever talk to these people, again, like I don't want my kids around these people. So he obviously, could see where Lexi was coming from. He obviously felt some kind of way as well. So I just don't like the way that Chris handled that situation. He handled that situation very immaturely.
Words for it because they're months.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
Come there. I know this might seem out of the
And
blue.
pass this commercial in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're back like we never left.
yeah, we're all grown. The children are grown, 30, 32, 33 years old.
Yeah.
And, previous years, the communication was fine. I mean, they would talk, you know, um, they weren't best friends.
Hmm.
Communicate cordially and what have you. Really didn't have any issues.
What do you think it was about that scene last year that kind of interrupted that harmony that you all had created?
Um, of course, this is a show,
Yeah.
so a lot that was edited, from that scene. But I'm not sure if there was an agenda,
Hmm.
there, coming from my oldest daughter's side, because we were fine.
Hmm.
We were fine. I had just spoken with her and her husband, and as a matter of fact, we had been up to Nashville to see them,
Hmm.
and they were operating their CBD store and doing fine there. I kind of helped them out with that,
Yeah.
finance.
See how he threw that in there, that he helped him out with the CDB business or whatever the case may be. The fact that Lexi showed up, lets me know that she had good intentions, whether it was on camera or off camera. Somebody said something to really piss Lexi off. Okay. And I'm like, Lexi, at no point are you going to talk about my mom, mention my mom. And I think somebody said something about Lexi's mom, like leave my mom out of this. She don't have anything to do with this. So I think somebody said something about Lexi's mom that pissed her off. And they just didn't show that part, in the scene.
Things like that. So, things, but let's have gone off a couple of times with that tantrum.
Okay.
You've seen that a couple of times before.
Let me stop you there, Chris. Would you rather to have a daughter that goes off on a tantrum, or would you rather have a son that gets locked up every other month? Take your pick. Yes, she might have some emotional issues going on. You said that you didn't even know that she was seeing a psychiatrist. Maybe if you had a better relationship with your daughter and you seen her on a regular basis, you would know that she was dealing with some type of, situations that cause her to see a therapist. And that just really shows that you really don't know your daughter and you really don't spend a lot of time with your daughter, because if you did, she would feel comfortable enough to tell you that, or you would just already know that, in my opinion.
But, she also, as she stated, and I didn't know she's been going to therapy since she was 12. I didn't know that.
Hmm.
Whenever she's never told, never heard me. Now I know she has started going to therapy 2 years. Okay. Since she was 12 or something.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if that was game helping or whatever, but something at that table triggered her to just go flip the whole thing around.
Yeah, you know what it was.
I'm sitting there like, what the hell are y'all doing?
Yeah.
And let me ask you get this, guys, and you let me know in the comments. If your dad, did an interview, and I know Lexi said some things, but would you want your dad to be talking about you and disclosing your medical, or you know what I'm saying? health or whatever the case may be, and you're not even speaking. If we're not speaking, don't speak on me. They said what they said after the scene. She said what she said, but now that she's not even having anything to do with him at this point, why speak on her? Like, you're really causing more division in the relationship with your daughter by speaking on her, knowing that you guys don't have a relationship at this point.
Why? You know,
You could tell it was real for sure. You could tell a real moment. Yeah.
fake, stage, scripted, all that.
Yeah.
Real, true. That was real, true Fletcher shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and it just happened. And I was kind of cool, until I went outside.
Mm-hmm.
She stated the things that she stated about, I'd never done nothing for her until she was an adult, until she was 28. It's like,
Totally agree, Mama Bees. And Mama Bees said, let me get past this commercial. Ooh.
Look in the hotels.com app to find your perfect somewhere.
really? Yeah, don't say this.
And Mama B said he should not be discussing her without her being present. Exactly. Like, this is going to really piss her off. Like, after she hears this interview and him speaking on her mental health, like, I don't think that was a good idea.
On screen, outside by myself, so no one else is around. You just talk like me. I was kind of thrown in. It kind of took me off for a second there, and I was like, come on.
Yeah, you didn't handle that right, Chris.
I spoke to them. I reach out around Christmas, sent the kids some Christmas things. They sent them back. And that's it. From my understanding,
Did y'all hear that? They sent Christmas gifts and Lexi sent them back. Like, Lexi is done, done. Gifts unopened, sent them back. She is so done. Like, Lexi is like, stick a fork in me. I am done with the Fletchers.
what I've heard, she's pregnant again.
And you had to put that out there. Like, why would you come out and announce that she's pregnant? Maybe she wanted to make that announcement on her own. Like, why are you using your kids for a storyline, Chris? Like, that's not, for you to discuss in an interview. That's her personal business. Like, he really does not care about mending his relationship with his daughter, because if he did, he would not be speaking on her. I mean, he could have just as easy told, Justin, look, me and my daughter, we're not in a good place right now, and I just prefer not to speak on her without her being present and without her consent. That's all he had to say. Like, you guys don't get paid enough money to ruin your family relationships.
Haven't talked to her. So
We're definitely sending you all good wishes and hope for resolution, just peace and harmony. That's one of the things we love about these shows, is that we get to follow a story and hopefully most often see a resolve of something positive.
that's one of the things that I've expressed, even with the show. We give authenticity, you know what I'm saying? We try to be authentic as we can.
Selling the show.
We have issues such as
To
like
have a
what we
spinoff.
have now. I would like to see a resolution. I don't tend to see it on most of these shows like this. Everybody mess and bullshit and see someone, get into it, whatever, and then just talk about that and laugh and go on. No, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I love my daughter.
Yeah.
That was my firstborn.
Right.
I love her. And I pray every day. So, I need to see her, I need her back,
Yes.
and so we can continue to grow and live.
That's a funny way of showing it, Chris.
Wonderful. I'm going to stay that way.
That's right. And we definitely, as viewers, we want to see that resolution too. So again, like I said, just sending you all much love and many wishes for peace and harmony when it comes to kind of bridging that gap. Another recurring thing that we've seen here, and I really don't even want to spend too much time on this, but I do want to give you the opportunity to just have your say from your mouth. There's been a few allegations thrown around.
Yeah, let's get to the tea, Dustin.
What we now know to be a 30-year marriage. Okay, so the fact that this is even being questioned is a little ridiculous to me. But there are now allegations being thrown around that your wife Neil was a quote unquote side chick, or there was some sort of overlap there when the start of your.
And I'm sorry, guys. I know we done heard this nail side chick thing so many times, but in this interview, Chris is gonna tell on himself or tell on Nail. Let's put it that way.
Marriage, and for those who that is important to, is there anything that you want to offer to that, just to
Listen up,
and,
guys.
and just give a final say to that?
No, my wife was never a side chick. There was never anything overlapping like that. I was married young, trying to do the right thing because my first wife, she had gotten pregnant. I'm young, 18, 19 years old. And my thoughts and my concerns of, growing up as an adult, you got a baby on the way, you need to marry her, you need to take care of her, da, da, da.
Yeah, yeah.
Got her pregnant and married her. Mm-hmm. Things didn't work out. I mean, we were married for a little over a year, maybe, and separated before that.
Yeah.
I was in the military, so we had to have a legal separation. That occurred, and I think I may have met Linnell, my wife now, probably a year after that. Yeah, later that year after the legal separation, and yeah, I met her. You know what I'm saying, and I had talked to her coming in town, out of town, or what have you. But my first wife, waiting for her to sign, the divorce decree, the divorce papers, I'm sorry, to do as such. That doesn't mean my whole life is on hold. I mean, hell, I can date.
For sure.
I'm legally separate.
But Chris did say he met his current wife, Nell, 1 year after the legal separation. From what I understand, you have to be separated 1 year before they will finalize the divorce. So she could have definitely gotten pregnant at some point during that year, okay? And then at some point the divorce became final. So I definitely believe that she was a side chick, and I definitely believe that she got pregnant before that divorce was final. And then he said, well, let me go ahead and let you guys hear that part.
And then my wife and I didn't get married until a year and a half later. Like, after I was divorced.
Right.
So, where that's coming from, being a side chick, our first child, Chris Jr., he and Lexi are 4 years apart.
Yeah.
Where's she was not pregnant. She was not any of that. So no, my wife, no damn side chick.
Yeah.
I just think that's just social media trying to portray things or make things look a certain way.
Now, he said that they're 4 years apart, but even Lexi's mom said that she used to pick up, his son or whatever. And I don't know, 4 years apart. I don't know. The math ain't mathing. You guys let me know what you think. But I mean, I don't think it would have even came into question if it wasn't true. But hey.
How did you feel? Because again, when we as viewers were introduced to you and your wife Nell, it was in the capacity of what looked like a mentor kind of relationship, mentorship, big brother, big sister, little sister relationship as couples between you and your wife Nell, and at the time Martel and Melody when they were married. In this season, we've seen Martel kind of make some allude to or kind of make insinuations that your wife Nell was a quote unquote side chick, or that overlap did exist. How do you feel about that, and where do you think that is coming from, that intention to kind of throw a little gas on the flame of those rumors by Martel?
I mean, I think that was just Martel being Martel, just being a little asshole at the time of the situation, hearing it on social media. And for me, just bringing it in just for a storyline.
Okay.
Just saying shit. And he knew. And that's why, I expressed to production, no, I need to face him and let him know, dude, don't play with me. You know what I'm saying? Because
Now, what do y'all guys think about the way that Chris handled that situation with Martel? The scene where he, confronted Martel for calling his wife a side chick. To me, I feel like he went a little too easy on Martel. Like, when you want to make a statement, like, I felt like he should have just kind of been a little bit more aggressive. And he just kind of left it off just like Martel and made it like it was a joke. No, I'm going to need you to make it clear. I'm going to need you to make it so clear that he knows if he ever says that again, those are fighting words. I mean, I know we too old to be fighting, but he didn't make it clear to Martel that no, you don't make jokes and you don't play about my wife calling her a side chick. So, Chris, in that scene, you were a little soft and you need to man up a little bit when it comes to somebody disrespecting your wife. I'm just saying.
you put this out there and this is what happened.
So the scene that we saw when you addressed that with Martel, you spearheaded that scene even taking place.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You making these comments like that. I want you to straighten this shit out.
Yeah.
My wife, I'm such.
Yeah.
He can't straighten nothing out. I mean, he just, having conversation. You should have checked him to let him know, like, you're not going to call my wife a side chick. And that's just what it is. She's not a side chick. But maybe you know that Martel knows something that we don't know. So that's why you didn't really go in on the situation, Chris. That's what it's looking like, that Martel carries the bones.
Was that sort of approach from Martel or that reaction per se to whatever he triggered him to make him kind of make those accusations? Was that a new side of Martel for you all to see, or had you seen that sort of behavior before be present?
Um, I don't. I don't think it was a new side. I mean, Martel has been known to throw some things out there before, but it was new to us.
Yeah.
That's not the first time you let him disrespect your wife, Chris.
Uh, mentoring talks, counseling, whatever that we had done with he and Mel. I mean, he
Now, guys, remember when Martel came to the house and him and Neil were outside, and she was telling him that she was going to go to Mel's name changing ceremony or whatever the case may be. He disrespected her that day. He disrespected her when he called her a side chick. He disrespected her when you guys were in Texas, how he was yelling all in her face. Martel has disrespected your wife on several occasions. And the reason why Martel continues to disrespect your wife is because you're not checking him in the right way. If you check Martel one good time, I guarantee you he won't continue to disrespect your wife. But you haven't done that, Chris.
he knew the strength of our relationship and how long we've been together and all those type things. So yeah, I just think that's just Martel just acting up in the moment.
Okay. I'm thinking, again, because of the introduction that we got from that kind of define the connection that you had with the Holts at that time. Now, Melody Rogers and Martel Holt. At the time when they were a unit, that's how we were introduced to you and Nell. And so to see moments like when you all were on the trip and there was a disagreement between Martel and Nell, and kind of the spirited nature of the conversation, right? The heightened, the passionate
And you
nature
still
of the
didn't check me,
conversation
Chris.
was a little off-putting for a lot of the viewers. How did you feel about like the way that Martel was speaking in those kind of more passionate conversations between him and Nell? What was that like for you on the end of that? Watching the way that he was communicating with Nell.
Well, I think a lot of people, and I've said this before, we've spent so much time together. We've talked to Mel and Martel on so many different occasions. That ain't the first time they've had this type of conversation.
Okay.
Because Martel generally is hard headed.
Okay.
He listens, but he doesn't activate. You know what I mean? he hear you, but maybe he ain't listening type thing. So, they've had that type of conversation. We look at them as brother and sister type because we spent, so much time and spoken with them in depth on relationship and things of that nature. So I've seen that conversation. I've seen that type of camaraderie between the two that go on. Again, I'm not the fussy type. You know what I'm saying?
You soft as hell,
Step
Chris.
in,
That's what we call soft.
Yeah.
We got a real problem if I step in. But to see them going back and forth, for me, it was just like a passion of brother sister love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Passionate about what he's saying.
Believe that Chris is copping out saying that's a brother sister type of, correspondence or whatever. I feel like at this point, Chris needs to cut Martel off so he can understand like this is not a joke, this is not a game. And Chris refuses to do that. So that's why Martel continues to disrespect him and his wife. At some point, when people aren't getting what you're putting out, you need to cut them off. And for some reason, Chris and Nell refuses to do that. So it leads me to believe that Martel has something on them and they're afraid if they cut him off that he's going to put their business out there. And that's how I feel about the situation, in my opinion.
And she damn sure gonna be passionate about what she's saying. And it just, you know, she's gonna get loud anyway. He's getting loud. And it's like when you see it and you don't know of them, you just know what you see on television, then yeah, I got all the comments of how you let this man disrespect your wife and this, that, and the other.
And you did it.
To me, it was just a brotherly love conversation. I mean,
That's a cop out.
to the not to talk all night.
Vera and
Eddie Murphy, you know what I mean?
yeah.
They have that type relationship that they talk that shit to each other.
Yeah.
And that's just the way I see it.
That's no excuse.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up though, because I think it kind of sheds light on that for people who may not get the dynamic. There's an undercurrent of love and concern there that kind of, that you understand because you're in it, that they understand because they're in it. And it will always supersede whatever surface level kind of things we see going back and forth. I think that really clears that up.
Yeah, and people need to keep that in mind. I would never let nobody disrespect my wife. Come on.
Yeah.
I bet the difference.
I'm not that damn soft.
Yeah.
You saw.
That's been pretty clear. And I think that the viewers actually really connected with that scene where you did address that situation with Martel, immediately. Normally, those sort of feelings are something that we see play out over maybe a whole season or multiple seasons. It's held on to and kind of allowed to grow bigger and bigger. But I think that fans, per what I've seen in the conversation and the commentary from fans, I think they really connected with the way that you quickly, you know what I mean, kind of like stepped in and there was a one-on-one that addressed those feelings or whatever. And I think that was great.
Now, in Chris's defense, I'm glad that he did ask for a scene with Martel, but even in the scene, he came off like very soft, But I'm gonna give him his little props for even suggesting that him and Martel do a scene together so that he can kind of clean it up. But I just wish he would have been a little bit more aggressive and made it a little bit more clear. And also let Martel know, look, if you can't respect my boundaries, then I don't think we can, continue to be friends. Like you're going to respect me, you're going to respect my wife, and if you can't do that, then I don't see the point of having a friendship. So I felt like Chris should have made that clear to Martel, and he just didn't do that.
A little bit more about, well, not a little bit more, one other part of your experience on the show that I think most people would have found challenging, right, Chris? Is the way that past challenges in your marriage have been kind of highlighted and resurfaced to be dissected and talked about once again. And obviously, you and your wife Neil have been brave enough to speak about past infidelities and things that y'all have gotten over and moved on. We're talking about, again, a 30-year marriage. For your experience, though, as these things are being brought back up, what has that been like for you? Has it been something that you've had to revisit and maybe work through again in a positive way? Was it tough for you? What is that like when past infidelities are brought up to the surface again to be fodder for conversation?
I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. Um, I was younger, of course, time, which doesn't.
Now, am I wrong or am I right? He said he was younger. I know y'all done heard some stuff in these YouTube streets. Put it in the comments if you heard that Chris has been, there has been some infidelities not that long ago. Is it just me or am I wrong?
Excuse. I'm just saying, I was maybe some more immaturity, perhaps there. And then I'll say, as I always say, most of the time when there's a marriage or a relationship and the woman is angry, mad, or what have you, outside of the children, but most of the time, I give it 95, 98% of the time.
Oh God, Chris, get to it, Chris. Stop beating around the bush. You wasn't expecting that question, Chris.
It's really something, man. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of men won't admit. Generally, it's something that you didn't do, did do. You know what I mean? And you got her where she's at, and which that puts a woman in a very difficult situation.
For sure.
Um, Now, I'm glad that at that time we still had some years in.
Yeah.
And a good probably 10 years, 15 years in.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
We were able to get through it. You know what I mean? It was my mistake. It was my stupidity. It was my selfishness. It was my, it was my fault.
Okay.
You think?
How it happened. No, put the blame anywhere else. Something that I was bringing, I was right sane of mind. You know what I mean?
Y'all, Chris is dancing around. I don't even want to hear him anymore. He is really like dancing around that question that Dustin asked him about infidelities. Now, Chris know he done cheated on multiple occasions. He's trying to present it like it was just one time. And Mama B said, I heard it. Chris moves like he think he is a player, and I can totally see that, Mama B's. I can totally see that. Hey, Cricket 22, how are you doing today? Thanks for being here.
But when I hear it come up again,
Yeah.
it bothers me. It bothers my wife because I know it moves her heart, her feelings, her thoughts. You know what I mean? And it's a trigger, I'm sure, for her
Yeah.
feelings. So that bothers me. I am so grateful and thankful to have a wife that understands and can get through those type situations because a lot of people, a lot of females, I feel, would today's age and time would take that and be like, you know what? Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna go do such and such, or yeah.
Chris, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but people are, kind of, you know, um, calling your wife a side chick, and they're pretty much saying she's a lot like coleslaw. Like she'll take you back no matter what you do. She's desperate to have a man. And that's just how they're looking at your wife out here in these YouTube streets. So yeah, she forgave you, but they're looking at Nell like she's a weak woman just like coleslaw. Just in case you didn't know.
You wouldn't write, and you said something to me last night. So today marriage is just yeah, damn give a damn. As soon as something happens, stay out. I can find me another. You know what I'm saying? I don't like the way you said that to me. And you just don't get a chance to build that more strength.
And honestly, guys, I think that's another reason why Chris doesn't really put his foot down with his kids is because you make them grown kids mad, they're going to call your ass out for all the things that you have done. And Chris does not want his kids to call his ass out for being a cheater. And like Mama B said, that he's a player out here in these goddamn streets. He don't want the kids to call him out. That's why he's so soft.
That relationship.
Because grown kids will call your ass out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it bothers me, and it bothers me because I know it affects her.
Right.
Was everything as well, because then now I can hear the shit again.
Exactly.
Explain myself to other people that I shouldn't even have to be explaining myself to.
Right. Right.
And so yeah, it's a thing, man. But we're grown, still in love, still doing the damn thing. I'll just kick off a new dance or some shit and get it out my brain. And,
Yeah.
Did y'all hear that? He said we grown. Y'all been together 30 years. Like we know y'all grown and married and got kids, grandkids, all of the above. He sounds so childish when he talks. And then he had the nerve to say kick off a new dance move. That's where you at. Like Mama B said, Chris, you just a player out here in these streets. And you more worried about, getting followers on TikTok than taking care of your wife and your family. That's what it sounds like to me.
just come back to the
It's great to hear, first of all, that you all found a way to kind of manage that discomfort when that is mentioned, because it's gotta suck to feel like somebody's holding something over your head, and bringing it up again. But I love the fact that you all are focused on the moving forward of it all. And I also think that accountability is a huge part of your success in navigating that. Because when we discuss it even today, mind you, we're talking about
Now, guys, think about this scenario. What if Chris responds to her, meaning Nell, the way that he responded to his daughter that night? Like, what if Nell tries to call him out on cheating and he just goes off and get mad and throws a tantrum? Like he says that, Lexi is known to throw tantrums. I feel like he throws tantrums. Anytime she tries to confront him about the cheating allegations, he probably throws a tantrum. And, as a parent, I say this all the time. It's not nice to have to accept it, but your kids are little mini yous or mini me's or whatever you want to call it. So a lot of things that you see in your kids, like you really can't get mad because at the end of the day, it's probably something that they got from you. And if not you, their dad, and maybe even their grandparents. So the fact that he says that Lexi throws tantrums, I believe he throws tantrum. What I seen from him when he confronted Lexi, or when Lexi was upset and he was just like, okay, fine. That to me, that was throwing a tantrum. So I see where Lexi get it from. Chris is very immature, and I'm going to say that and leave it there.
your feelings connected to it, and you went straight into, listen, there's no one to blame for this situation but me, and you accountability kind of filled up that space. So I am interested to hear your thoughts based on another conversation that we saw take place about accountability on this week's episode, and that was a conversation between Marceau, Scott, and Trisha, the new addition to the cast, her current husband, who's really her ex, Marquez. They had a conversation about Marquez's frustrations with the presence of Latricia's new partner, Ken, in the lives of his children.
Dustin, you wrong for this.
Marceau was very clear in his messaging to Marquez in that conversation that, listen, you have to be there and take up the space as a father to your children in order to kind of assume that positioning that you're speaking of that you resent Ken for having now. So I'm interested in your take on that, because we do see again the 30-year mark of a successful blended family, right? Where you all love all of your children in totality. There
Gosh,
is no
Dustin,
separation of
get
step,
to
none of
it.
that. It's just your children. And you both had to kind of learn how to define the mechanics of a relationship like that. What are your thoughts on Marquez's feelings and what Marceau had to say to him in that conversation?
Um, I feel there was some validity to what Marcel was saying.
Yeah.
Marquez. Because from my understanding, you had been married 13, 14 years or what have you, and you just decide, Marquez just decided one day he wants to get up and leave and be gone for a year, all the way in Atlanta or wherever he went.
Yeah.
With going to Trish, no communication. You know, what the hell did you expect, bro?
Right.
You just left your wife that you've been with since you were a teenager.
You have what it takes to
Oh, I
take it
can't
all.
wait to respond to this.
Nice,
Like right now. Now,
14-year marriage. Yeah.
how can Chris fix his mouth to respond on this Martez situation? Not Martez, Marquez, whatever that guy's name is. He's Now he should have just said, "Look, man, I'm not perfect, so I prefer not to speak on the situation." Because first of all, Chris, you've done some things. Like, I'm not trying to put your business out there, but I've heard, out here in these streets through the grapevine that you were messing with a much younger woman and you left your wife to go and be with this much younger woman and then you came back. So you don't have the right to speak on Marquez because first of all, you don't know that man like that, from what I understand. So you just should not have answered that question because you don't have the right to throw salt on Marquez when you've done some very questionable things in your past. You should have sat that one out. I'm just saying.
You just decided to leave.
Yeah.
I mean, put the shoe on the other foot. Shit, what if she decided she wants to leave?
Right.
You know, you kind of gave up all those rights.
Yeah.
You really did. Luckily she didn't do more than what she did.
Yeah, for sure.
Like literally more than what she did. Um, we will say, kind of off a little bit the subject. I don't know what's been taking so long with the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's an issue, but that's with her and Ken.
And I'm gonna say this, guys. I feel like the only reason why Chris is not cheating on Nell right now, and I'm not saying whether he is or not, if he is not cheating on Nell right now, I feel like it's only because of this show. And he knows that if he cheats on Nell right now, it's going to be in the blogs because there is nothing that the millimeters or any of their viewers is not going to find out that you're doing out here in these streets because there's always somebody with their eyes on you, like random people. Like he could just be out at a restaurant, he could be at a hotel, no matter where he is, somebody is going to see him and it's going to be all over YouTube or wherever the case may be. So I feel like that is the only reason Chris is not cheating if he's not currently cheating on Nell is because of that reason. And I stand on that.
They need to rectify. But as far as Marquez, I just think he was just immature and very selfish at that moment because
Sort of like you, Chris, very immature and selfish.
you didn't leave for that year and go be a damn mom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You didn't go
Yeah.
just gonna stop my life in this cave, and then after a year I'll come back.
Like how you moved out and was staying with that person and then you came back.
You have these children. Saying ain't no well, you know what? I think I'm gonna take this child and put him back up in there. We ain't ready to deal with that. You can't do that. You can't just walk away. So I think it's very childish, immature to do such a thing. Um, yes, he does state that Ken is a trigger for him, but I don't see where. I don't see why. This man has been taking care of your wife and kids for a little over 2 years.
Yeah.
Like,
Now let me ask you this, guys. You think if Nell cheated on Chris, he would forgive her? What do you guys think about that? Do you think Chris would be able to forgive Nell if she stepped out on him? Let me know in the comments.
or new house, car,
Yeah.
Taking your kids to school. You know what I mean? Picking them up after school activities, all those type things. What the hell can he be a trigger to you, bro?
Yeah.
What you should be doing is shaking his hand and thanking him. And of course, if your marriage is over, y'all need to go ahead and end that thing so that your children and your ex-wife can be happy if that's where their happiness is.
Right.
Because you walked away from it, and there's no comment. And I think
All of a sudden, Chris got all this advice to give.
it's children. What you need to do is make sure your kids are happy as well. Because what you and Trish had, I think, is over. So now you need to concentrate on making sure your children can continue to mature and grow the way that they need to. Because I think one children are maybe 9 or 10 years old. Right?
Now, y'all see how he got all this to say about those other folks? And that's one thing I noticed about all of these cast members on Love and Marriage Huntsville. They briefly go over their situation, but when it comes to somebody else's situation, they have so much to say. Like they really want to downplay their situation and just really speak on other people's situations. Like, I hate that about everybody on this cast.
To make sure she's getting what she needs from both of them, Ken and Trish. So, I just think that was very selfish, immature thing for Kaz to do.
Wow. Man, your daughter isn't even speaking to you. I wish you would practice what you preach, Chris. You got all of this advice and all of this knowledge for these other people's situation, but you don't have any knowledge to be able to, mend the relationship between you and your daughter. Like, I don't get that. If you were so educated on how to be a father, you wouldn't have this discord between you and your daughter.
Validity to what Marcel was trying to tell John.
Hey, babe, what are you doing there?
Absolutely, Mama B. Let me read your comment. And Mama B said, men can't take women cheating on them. Chris would have folded like those sparkle suits he wears. Oh my God. And I totally agree, Mama B's. I feel like if Nell was to cheat on Chris because he thinks he's all that, he will be out the door. And if he didn't, leave Nell, he would just cheat more. Like that would be his path to just continue to cheat. But he would never forgive her for that.
He just needs to continue to grow.
Yeah. Well, what I love most about the cast of Love and Marriage Huntsville is that, again, while there is a break in the father and child relationship there between Marquez and his children with Trisha, we see shining examples of Black fathers and Black men who are pouring knowledge and
no, we don't.
him,
Not at all.
giving him advice, and also, quite literally, in his case, stepping up and assuming the responsibility happily, eagerly. You know what I mean, and with joy. And I think that's beautiful to see on television. Is that these Black fathers are standing in the gap and being there for one another, and most importantly for those children. And that is why we're so happy that you are.
Dustin, how much you getting paid to say that?
Season, Chris. We just really want to say thank you, man, for sharing your life and being honest and transparent, and also to your adult children for being a part of this cast as well. I hope we get to see a little bit more from them. Like you mentioned, that they are in their own relationships and they have their own stations in life. So hopefully they're down to show us that, and we get to know the Fletcher family even more coming up soon, man. So
yeah, they're coming, brother. They're coming. Everybody, they got a chance to see more of them and their dynamics and what they have.
Y'all see how Chris lit up? He is really trying to be on reality TV for the long haul.
As well as the success. So the world get a chance to see that as well.
We're certainly looking forward to it, Chris, man. Thank you for your time today, bro. Is there anything I like to give the cast a chance because, as you know, from being on this show, you're on the camera for 5 seconds, and here comes the comments, right? Here comes the fans. I think that over the years, this show has developed a very loyal and connected fan base, and they're passionate with what they have to say about the show. And sometimes that can kind of make the experience of the cast a little difficult. So, is there anything that you want to say, or any way that you want to encourage the fans to experience the show moving forward?
Um, no, I think we kind of covered everything, man.
Okay.
One thing, again, I'll say is they need to know I love my daughter.
Yes.
Oh, looking resolution. I pray for her every day.
I pray
And
that you
so
get
I'm
it,
looking
Chris.
for that to return to her father.
Yes.
I have reached out. So, it's two sides to it, not just her.
Okay.
And as far as my wife, my lovely wife, and the Martel thing, keep in mind, ain't nobody disrespecting my wife. You know what I mean? We have a relationship. Nothing is scripted. This is true, real life, authentic, work that we're doing. Um,
Even more
and
reason why you should have
no,
got in that ass.
listen to me closely, America. No, we're not picking sides. We are neutral. We are neutral, and that's in everyone. It doesn't matter if it's male or
Speaking of that, did y'all see how when Nell came over, in this last episode to visit with Mel, she was just like a little timid or whatever. And I believe that's because she has taken Martell's side so much, but when Martell called her as a side chick, now she team Mel. That's kind of what I took from that. But let me just let Chris wrap it up.
Till Letitia, Marcel, Kimmy, Maurice. Doesn't matter. There's no such thing as picking sides if you're in the position that we're in. And that's to continue to help us as well as them.
Hey, Linda Gambo, love you.
Success, progression with the family, your jobs, all that. And that's what we're all about. It's all
Yeah. So, guys, what did you guys think about that interview? And I'm gonna say this, like, okay, with Chris and Nell, I don't really, have a problem with them. I like their family, and I love their whole family dynamics. And if they did get a, spinoff or whatever, more than likely I would watch their spinoff because I love supporting Black families, and being that it's a family, I would probably be more apt to just kind of like follow their journey. And I'm hoping that they do get a spinoff. I would love to see it. Um, but Chris still strikes me as a player, just like Mama B said. And I think he is really into this social media stuff because it allows him to become TikTok famous, get on there, do his little dance moves, get followers so he can have these women in his inbox. And I feel like ultimately Chris is gonna cheat again, you know. So, no, Nell, and I feel like that's why Nell is so angry. It ain't because these kids asking for money. You've been doing that. I feel like you're stressed out because now you feel like you got to keep up with this man that's out here, you know what I'm saying? Just, having all of this attention from all of these women with these TikTok videos and him dancing and all of that stuff. Yeah, Nell, you tried, but you ain't got it like that. So I feel like you have to constantly be worried about your husband cheating on you. And I feel like that's where a lot of your aggression is coming from. The fact that, you got to watch your man because he's known to be a habitual cheater. It's not about the kids. I mean, yeah, I know you are sick of, rationing out your money to your kids, but at the end of the day, I feel like Chris is the problem. And I feel like if you guys were on the same page when it came to the kids, then things would be a little bit better because, instead of them trying to go to Chris, for Chris to come to you to soften the blow, then they would think twice about asking, period, if Chris would step up and just be a man about it. So yes, guys, that's all I got on this video. We've been on for about an hour and 34 minutes. Please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so that you know each and every time I upload a video. It has been so great. I'm so glad you guys stopped in um today, and I have really enjoyed you guys in the comments. Special shout out to Mama Bees. Thank you so much for always being here in the comments and watching my videos. Guys, please follow Kicking It with Courtney. She is also a content creator and she has great content. And she usually drops her videos or goes live 10 o'clock a.m. Monday through Friday with really good content, as well as Love Seen Her, Dee Star. She's also a content creator and she's kind of like me. She doesn't, as far as I know, she doesn't have a set time. She just comes on, whenever she's available, just like me. I don't have a set schedule. So guys, make sure you follow her channel as well. That's Love Seen Her. She's a great commentator as well. And then let's see. I think that's it. She's a great content creator. That's the word I was trying to say. I'm a little tongue-tied over here. It's been a long day, guys. I recently got off work. So I am glad to be able to share this time with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. And that will be all for this video. Thank you so much for watching and bye for now.